One, two, three, four.
Happy spooky season, my weebs. It is the season of skeletons, or maybe the season of skateboarders. On January 10, 2021, the Pretty Boy Skater anime was released to the public, and can I say, what an iconic debut. According to myanimelist.net, it has scored 8.4 out of 10, with over 5.9 million views on select streaming services such as 9anime and Crunchyroll. With clever writing, beautiful cinematography, and bright fluorescent color, character, and set design, it is no surprise that this show became widely popular. The main gist of Skate 8 The Infinity tells the story of high school sophomore Reiki meeting former snowboarder Langa, are shown skateboarding at an outside organization called the S, and exploring the fun of skateboarding, but it dives much deeper into the complexities of masculinity and class. All the characters have fleshed out storylines and are shown to be vulnerable when things go into disarray. It is also worth noting that Hiroko Utsumi, the director of Skate 8, also directed Yuri on Ice and Banana Fish, which says a lot about how these male characters don't fall into the stereotypical tropes of men in shonen anime. Skate 8 shows how character development is so essential in anime, as Still the Spotlight would say.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, one of my top criteria for a good anime is just a lot of characters. The more the merrier. I want to fall in love with as many people as possible,
which helps viewers connect and fall in love with as many characters as possible. Reiki is your normal teenager that just wants to have fun, make friends, and establish a fun, safe community in skateboarding. But he is more than what meets the eye. As we see him teaching Langa how to skate, he first was trying to get him to his level. But once Langa surpassed him in a short amount of time, Reiki begins to lose confidence in himself and not find skateboarding fun. It took him several episodes to get over this, and wasn't until an outside voice called onto him that he figured out why he loved skateboarding so much. He resists at first, but he realizes that Langa is still his friend and needs his support no matter what in order for him to continue skateboarding without the pressures of competitiveness. This shows that there are things talent and attention can't replace from having a true friend. Langa throughout the show was just a sweetheart. He is kind, gentle towards everyone he meets, with a humble nature, making him extremely likable to everyone that he comes in contact with. Even our antagonist, Adam, or Mr. Ayanosuke, was quite fond of him as well. However, looking into Langa's past, we see him haunted by his memories of his father's death. No matter how hard he tries to find an escape through skateboarding, he still feels the loss of his father and how that affects his everyday life and enjoying things that should be enjoyed, but sometimes cannot be able to enjoy those things because he is haunted by his father's passing. This shows that our homeboy isn't just perfect and happy and has everything put together, but shows that he can be extremely vulnerable and has his own life problems that he's still working through. Adam senses this kinship with Langa, which is why he approaches Langa in hopes of making him his Juliet, which, in other words, would be his framework of a best friend or someone to completely spend the rest of his life with to make skateboarding something that he truly enjoys rather than the competitive sport that it is. In Ayanosuke's fandom, Adam's character is quoted as saying, "He shows disregard and disrespect for anyone that doesn't interest him at S, including founders like Cherry and Joe, who he previously was friends with." It's obvious that Adam has a superiority complex and doesn't want to acknowledge anyone at his level in order to remove the traumatizing memories of his abusive parents. We get to see Adam's past and why he is the way he is, and although he doesn't change throughout the show too much, it's refreshing to see a realistic portrayal of someone converting over to positively looking at life, but it doesn't happen as swiftly as people might expect it to. It takes several months, if not years, to remove that sort of trauma, which gives his character more relatability and beyond the 12 episodes of the show. The other characters, Mia, Cherry, and Joe, all have similar storylines and conveys the emotions that men go through when finding something they truly love and how competitiveness gets in the way of how they truly feel and love towards skateboarding and their friends, which is explicitly shown in Adam's character as he shuns off Joe, Cherry, and all the other founders because of the complexities of friendship that bring into a competitive atmosphere, which makes Adam's character appear to be unlikable, but in the end, it was because he was a victim of harsh circumstances. Like I said earlier, the plot doesn't feel rushed or cliched. Although it is not the first anime that showcases friendship struggles, it certainly adds a unique flair towards man-on-man relationships. Based on its predecessors, the characters in fandoms are usually hypersexualized into their appearances alone or altering their personality to fit their imaginative molds, which in Skate 8 is rarely shown in this context. Although this show isn't wholly realistic, by soaring above the air on rocks can't realistically happen in skateboarding without seriously injuring or killing yourself. The show keeps the characters' personalities real, which makes the unrealistic demonstrations of skateboarding okay. Anime blogger Connor Evans of Rice Digital is quoted as saying, "While I grew up skateboarding and still love it, Skate 8 The Infinity certainly likes to take some creative liberties with exactly what people can achieve while riding on a skateboard. That being said, I think this is a good thing, and it does nothing to take away from the show. In fact, I think it makes it fun. Skateboarding, like any other sport for that matter, should be shown as fun because that's why people participate in those type of events. Even when it's physically and mentally demanding and draining at parts, it shouldn't make these characters a cog of a machine. Rather, it should show both spectrums, which is something Skate 8 does quite well than its other counterpart animes. Which is why Reiki and Lenga's relationship is extremely likable. They both go through ups and downs in their life, but having to accept each other's faults and their love for skateboarding. This is also similarly shown with Adam and Tadashi. Tadashi actually taught Adam how to skate before the craziness with his parents, and he was unable to continue. They did it in secret, and they had quite a stable and positive relationship. I remember throughout the show when I was watching it that I always felt that Adam was much more positive and outgoing than what he appeared to be when he was all grown up, which is of course a product of his circumstances of having abusive parents. Tadashi even goes as far as to remind Adam that I'm the one that taught you how to skate, so don't act like you are able to do everything on your own, because the message is that you need friends to be there for you and to help you out, because that was what Tadashi did and wants to make sure Adam remembers that. They always instill the message of friendship and camaraderie throughout the entire show, which is quite a great lesson to teach teenage boys, as often they think strength and relying on themselves makes them truly masculine, which in reality is not quite always the truth. I also quite appreciated that although they show friendship, it's not romanticized or fetishized as a gay relationship that is apparently sexual. I find that quite liberating to see that two men can have a strong friendship and maintain friends. Now, there is absolutely positively nothing wrong with portraying a gay relationship. In fact, it increases diversity and makes the story increasingly more enjoyable to watch because it shows different things than the normal stereotyped heterosexual relationship. But I always appreciate when animes do this and not romanticize it or make it something that is. Also, when I talk about romanticize, I mean the Brianna Lawrence of the Mary Sue is quoted as saying, "Friend doesn't feel like a strong enough term for a relationship where one boy, Lenga, went through episodes without feeling anything in his heart about something he used to enjoy until the other boy, Reiki, was there to see him." Obviously, this is a straight definition of friendship, and the vocabulary used also goes a little bit deeper into being a best friend or even a potential boyfriend, which in this case is not completely shown in Skate 8, but it also helps interpret the meaning behind male relationships and how it is okay to showcase a strong male relationship by being vulnerable, showcasing emotion, and it doesn't have to be a quote-unquote romantic relationship. Not that there's anything wrong with that. After recently just watching this anime, I can thoroughly say that it is among the better shows in the sports genre. I personally don't watch many sports genre anime because it's not my particular cup of tea, but the storyline addresses many valuable life lessons and themes that are quite worth watching the show for. So even if you're not someone that particularly loves the sports genre like myself, I would give it a watch. As of right now, there are no plans for season 2, but let's hope there's more sports anime that turn out like Skate 8 The Infinity did. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.